Live Hangout is live. I just love when that little pop-up just shows up and shows that the Hangout is live. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, good evening, good night from wherever you are tuning in into the DayLight Webcast. Wait a second. This is episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a full hand. I'm sorry, I have a big hand there. There we go. 5. So next time I'm going to switch to the other hand, David. So we're going to have episode 6 and beyond. Thank you, and welcome to everyone tuning in via the live webcast, and everyone will be listening to this on the audio version. Welcome, and thank you again for being part of this wonderful little meeting that my wonderful colleague, compadre, internationally renowned 30-year veteran, Google Glass explorer, and all-around awesome guy out of Newport Beach, California, David Esquire. Thank you so much for joining in again, David. And this is indeed episode 5, and we're still, bringing to you our wonderful knowledge and all the wonderful insight into the world of photography, creativity, empowerment, inspiration, and all that good, awesome stuff. So today's episode is a little bit more on the pragmatic side. We've touched on mobile photography. If you're just tuning in for the first time, please go to David's website, go to my website, go to the blog, go on the Google+. We've made it available for you on any form of platform you can possibly think of. So it's on YouTube, it's on iTunes. Just look for DayLight Webcast. Yes, we're on iTunes. It's insane, David. I'm so flipping about the fact that we got approved for the webcast. It took a lot of geeking, it took a lot of tweaking, because again, as you know, Apple has very strict rules about how they choose for the format of their audio. But it took a while, but we actually got approved, so I'm very happy to announce that all the previous episodes, either via the RSS feed or directly on the iTunes store, are available for download. So it's all great and fun and dandy. So it's just so awesome that we can actually push it this far. 5 episodes and beyond. So today's going to be a little more on the pragmatic side, because and that's why I called in again for a favor from David to actually show up again. Thank you so much. To actually give us a little bit of insight as we can, because we understand that if you're going to deal with a client, let's just jump right into it. If you're going to deal with a client, and if you're going to get paid for the services that you're going to offer, chances are really good. It's a lot better to actually secure the terms and conditions of the service you're going to offer. And nothing beats writing, whether it's on your palm of your hands, but I don't recommend that, but might as well make it a very solid, hard piece of paper. And we're talking about contracts, ladies and gentlemen. So we're just going to jump into the topic and sort of what your contract supposed, your basic, true-to-form, bare-bones contract, even if for the simplest form, if it's just basic, a model shoot, just a headshot, a school play, or whether it's your nephew's soccer team, or a wedding, things that I'm sure David has got his fair share of anecdotes to share with us, and so have I. But it's just crazy how the details that you cannot leave to chance in terms of the contract and how it's supposed to actually protect you, protect your client, and ensure the efficiency and quality of a great customer relationship, because it all goes back to dealing with your client and the respect that you're owed and that you owe to your client as well. I'm not sure if you want to add anything to that, David.
I'm giving the stern look. So if you're out there in radio land and in your car, just imagine me going, giving you the stink eye. That's
David is really giving the stink eye
right there. That's about how seriously I take it. And to add to what you're saying, if you're going to take any photos for anybody, there should be a written agreement. Whether it's money, if it's for mom and dad, if it's for your friends, it doesn't matter. It has to have a contract, because if you don't, and you don't establish those rules, and you don't establish the terms and the conditions and the statement of work and everything else that goes into it, you're setting yourself up for a big disappointment, and you're setting your client up for a big disappointment. And your client is the person on the other end of the camera, whether it's a friend or a family member or a client that hired you off the street. It doesn't matter. They're a client, and there should be a piece of paper that is involved. And the cool thing about it is that there is no right or wrong way to do a contract, but there are very specific things that should be in your contract. It's just a matter of what works for you, may not work for me, and vice versa. It really depends. But again, if you're not using a contract, look into my eye.
Dun, dun, dun. I would hate to be on the wrong end of your creativity. But that's the thing, because a lot of people take that for granted. A lot of people take that for granted, because it's not just about, oh, can you take my photo? How is my photo going to be used?
Right.
What type of photo are you coming for? How long would you need me for? Um, is it for commercial use? Is it, again, we're talking about, again, there's no, you can actually have, just for goodwill, somebody, just a good cause that you're defending, but even that deserves a contract. And I've seen my fair share of contracts. I've been contacted, and I'm sure you have as well, David. When you get, let me just go back to the initial time where you get that email. Hello, we've seen your photos, and we would love to use your images because you're so awesome and you're so good, and we would love to use your photos, and we want to feature them in for our event, and your work is exactly what we're looking for, and we just want to steal them. If you really deconstruct the entire legalese of the wonderful little marketing email that's sent to you,
had to go there.
The initial way that it's presented, oh my God, I'm appreciated. Oh my God, my work is valued. I'm getting recognized into the blogosphere. Wow, I am so awesome. But if you read between the lines, you're realizing that not only do they want your work for free, they actually telling you to give away your work. I'll always remember when I was contacted by this. I won't say the cause because I don't want to badmouth anybody. I always try to be very respectful and ethical about things, even though I don't appreciate the way it was handled. But still, when I was contacted by their marketing person whatsoever, they sent me the link, they sent me the contract, but it clearly stated, "We own your photos. You're signing away the entire. You're going to shoot. You're going to spend the entire day covering our event, and not only are we not going to pay you, we own the entire rights. You're just giving away our images." I kid you not, David. If you really read it, at the end of the day, after I've sweated blood, sweat, and tears, my time, my dedication, my creativity, I produce, I hand over the images. But at the same time, the second I do that, the second I click send, you own my photos. In what world does that make sense? And I would not sign that contract. It makes perfect sense. They protect themselves, but I'm not. No, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And I'm sure you've had those experiences, David.
Yes, and it sucks. I'm going to just be really blunt. It really sucks when you have a client that feels like, oh, well, hey, we should be able to keep this and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. It's like, this is our photography at the end of the day. It's like, no, it's not. In fact, let me find it. I was looking for it on my iPhone, but then I got distracted because I did a selfie while we were talking. To add to everything else that's going on, if you are a music lover, then I'm sure you probably know it is about to be here. Record Store Day is about to happen.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
I want to add one of my favorite lines from Andy Taylor with Duran Duran at the beginning of one of the best videos in the world, where he comes up after sucking down some helium in a balloon, and he said, "Hello, good evening, and welcome to our show." I had to say that. I don't know why.
It's a classic.
I'm stuck on that. I don't know why. It's just been like hanging in my head lately.
You're a big Duran fan. You're a big Duran fan.
Okay. Okay, now this was just shared with me by one of my friends. I don't want to mention his name. Because privacy. It's all good. But I have his permission to share his quote. And this basically sums it up as a photographer. And just hear me out. If I spend $1 million to have Aerosmith perform at my wedding, they are not going to give me the copyright to the songs that they performed. That's pretty much summing it up right there.
Blown.
Dude, totally. It's like, and
blown. Do you hear my mind exploding right now?
Seriously. And the same thing goes for the pay-to-play musicians. The musicians that are hired to perform with, like, Sting, he did that huge Dream of the Blue Turtles event, and the musicians, they don't get copyright to his songs at all. Sting owns them. So in the same respect, as a photographer, as an artist, as somebody that is creating a copyrighted work, a piece of intellectual property, you own it. It is only going to transfer copyright ownership if you decide to make that arrangement with your client.
In writing.
And in writing, of course. And I can tell you that I'm quite comfortable having known that I've turned down jobs over more than 30 years because I was not going to relinquish copyright to any of my works. And I will walk off a shoot first if anything were to change. and a client were to say, oh, well, you know, we're not happy with this. Okay, I quit.
It's fine.
Congratulations is the way I'm going to look at it. And I hope every other photographer out there has the same level of respect for your craft, because as we're talking about, it's not just click, you took a picture. You've got to study for how to, you know, study your craft and get it all down, whether it be on your iPhone or it be on your camera, point and shoot, DSLR, medium format, large format, who cares? You have to learn how to do your craft. You have need to be addressed. And I'm so excited that, you know, granted, we're just talking about contracts today, but it is a crucial part of your business that can seriously make or break your business. It can seriously cause you to fail miserably or fail spectacularly, depending on how you want to look at it, or you can have great success. And I love the fact I'm looking at the show notes on the monitor on the other side, and we've got some great things that we're going to be talking about, and it's a very, very real topic. It's a very real component of having a successful business. And if you think it isn't, you're extremely mistaken, and you're going to have a lot of issues in the future, and you'll have issues with your clients and your business.
It's amazing because it always goes back because, again, we're trying to address creatives on all walks of life, whether you're a seasoned professional or just a hobbyist, and you have to understand that no amount of recognition is worth selling away your work. And again, I have to use those words, selling away your soul, because you put in so much time and involvement. Yes, it is a powerful word, but it is your work. And I keep using that word, and you'll see it all over my social media. I use that a lot. Your work has worth. You're constantly producing, and you're taking the time to think about this image, think about this moment, think about this emotion you're trying to capture. This is part of you that you're sharing, and for some reason, just for the sake of, I want to get my name out there, I need to have people recognize me for my talent, and therefore, no, it should not happen. And again, there's no amount of exposure is worth your time and you signing away the entire copyright of your work. There is something called fair use. There is a big difference between signing away the entire.
You mean abused use?
Well, definitely. Like, if I'm telling the person, if it's clear cut on the legalese, if it's clear cut on the contract, this is what my work is going to be used for, and we have a clear understanding where this is what you're going to do with my work, and this is what I'm going to do for you. Not a problem. So I can't complain about it. I can't BS you, and you can't constantly tell me like, well, this is not what we said. No, if it's written down, and it's understood, and we perfectly understand with each other, okay, this is what's going to happen with my work. That's fine. But there's no way I'm going to give you away the entirety of my work. But we're talking about on the professional side, and even with your clients, like even for the simple matter, okay, we're just going to a headshot. If you're going to make money off a headshot, if you're just hiring me to do a portfolio, just a few headshots for your catalog and everything, okay, have the headshots, use them, not a problem, publish them, use them to go for your modeling, you know, your go-sees and everything. But if my work is going to be published and I don't hear about it, no. We're going to have words. Definitely. That's why everything has to be
know me around the world know I've had words with people, and I have no problem dragging their name through the mud in social media.
Everything has to be in writing. It has to be a very clear, and you have to protect yourself, and you have to protect your client. You really do have to protect your client. But David, if we're just going to, we're just going to leave the huge, you know, just modeling agencies and publications, everything. Okay, let's just talk about Bride and Groom. Just dumb it down and just talk about Bride and Groom. Okay, so we're sitting down like David. Okay, so you're going to show us at this time, and okay, all we need to do is just be there, and just going to take photos, right? I believe there's a little bit more into it until your basic
It's
contract.
simple as that. That's all it is.
Wedding is at 3 o'clock, and you're just going to take photos, and we'll get the photos when you're ready, right?
Of course, yeah. Yeah. It's just that simple. Continuing on.
Well, it would be, in a perfect world, it would be that, but in my experience, you have to realize that you have to do your homework, guys. Is Flash authorized at the church? Is the venue aware there's going to be a photographer on site? Do I need a parking permit? If we're going to be shooting at said park or said church or said historical monument, do we have the proper permits? I'm showing up at this time. I'm going to be shooting for said amount of hours. Okay. Is there an overcharge? How long do I have to deliver the images? Okay, if I'm going to give you samples, how long do I have to give you samples? How am I going to distribute? Would you prefer DVDs? Would you prefer USB keys? Do you want a website? What are the fees? What is the payment plan? What is the delay for you to submit your deposits? All that stuff has to be in the contract.
You forgot something else that's really important.
Please.
Attire.
Oh, yeah.
Attire should be addressed as well.
Good one. Touche.
Do you show up in leather chaps looking like Prince?
Touche.
Or do you show up in a Hawaiian shirt and shorts and flip-flops?
There you go.
Things that need to be addressed. And what's great is some of your weddings that you may have may be on the beach. And it's okay to wear a Tommy Bahama shirt. But
you have to understand.
That's the things that need to be addressed. Some weddings in like New York, Chicago, and other very metropolitan cities will require you to wear a tuxedo or a suit and tie. Things that get addressed and are in writing in your contract.
It has to be in writing. You can't just guess it out. You can't just be guessing. You can't just be winging it. It is very important.
Winging it's fun to a point.
Yeah. But
no. I'm totally giving you a hard time.
No, you can't wing it. You can't wing it because nobody wants surprises, especially on the day of.
No.
There is, and I'm sure you'll agree with me on this one. There is a certain amount of, how would I say this? There's some responsibility that's not yours. You don't make the weather. If it rains,
right,
not your fault. You can't blame the photographer if it rains, but the photographer, in my opinion, is supposed to have a backup plan.
Exactly.
You're supposed to sit down with your client and those meetings that you've had and those emails you've exchanged and those text messages like, okay, what if it rains? What do we do?
Right.
Or the day of, we might have a permit for that said church or for that said historical monument that we talked about, but what if on the day of there's like a parade or there's like a fire and they cordoned off the entire perimeter? What do we do? So
exactly. I had to address that with Ashley and Peter for their engagement shoot. They originally wanted to do their shoot in Santa Monica at the pier. And I let them know, it's like, well, we're going to need a permit and we're going to have to fill in paperwork and it's a total nightmare. But those are things that have to be addressed and noted on the contract because if the client decides, well, we're just going to go for it anyways, you need to make sure that it's written down on the contract that all parties agree to that. So there are no surprises when there's a surprise. And then, as you know, as he was bringing up, it's like if there's an act of God and there's horrible weather, well, first of all, you better be pretty much a master at your craft and be able to handle your gear in any given situation.
Oh, yeah.
But then you have to be able to be prepared.
And it's not the time to be thinking about ISO. That's not
the time. Wow, what do I do? It's dark.
It's dark. Okay, no, this one didn't work. Oh, this one didn't work. Okay, let me flip this down here. So, no, give me a second. I'll be right with you. Just say, okay, no, oh, come on. Like, really?
Exactly.
Really?
And you could get sick. I've gotten hurt. I've gotten sick. Food poisoning at a wedding. It's brutal. It's absolutely a miserable experience, but the reality is it can happen. You could get stuck in traffic on the way to a wedding. You could get pulled over and get a ticket. These are things that you need to account for. And what if you are involved in a car accident on the way to a wedding? What is your backup plan for another photographer to be able to cover for you? That needs to be addressed in the contract. It's in mine. I have to produce somebody that's going to be of similar quality, similar professionalism, similar artistic quality. Because you can't just call your friend.
You can't call a friend that's sharing for them to do their vision and everything. You have to rely on somebody who's going to be able to
right.
deliver the same quality of work that you would have were you in that
Exactly.
spot. That's why, of course, there's always that experience. Okay, your first wedding, you're just going at it very commando. Like, what happens, happens. I'm hoping nothing goes wrong. It's a gamble. It's a huge gamble. But on a professional side, and again, when I'm saying professional, I'm not really mean, okay, just I'm Dennis Reggie. No, when I mean professional, that you bring a professional level amount of consideration and proficiency and efficiency to what you're doing. You're considering the client for the utmost quality of what they represent. This could be your first and last wedding. How would you address it? And that's it. You have to be able to deliver. You're talking about an accident. You're talking about traffic. The most recent wedding I did was actually last year. And for some reason, we had a route planned. Like, okay, I spoke to the limo driver because I had my car. I'm not in the car with the driver because the entire wedding party was in the limo. There was no spot, but I had my car. It's not a part because I had my entire gear, my studio anyway. So anyway, just following the limo. And I asked the driver, what road are you taking? And he took this completely different highway. Didn't tell me anything and just gunned it. I'm like, where is he going?
Are you serious?
No, I swear to God, he took it totally out. He just decided, like, oh, let me just go here. And I'm like, where is he going? It's like, are you kidding me right now? So, yes, I ran a few lights, but I know Montreal. I have alternate routes. Actually made it right before them and actually told him. After all the photos, I actually went up to him. Why did you do that? It's like, no, because I figured out that what we were going to take was going to take too long, so I took that part. But that's not what we said. That's not what was in the contract. That is not what we said. Okay? The bride and groom don't have to know because you understand that they don't want to be bothered with that at that time. But that's your problem as the photographer. You're providing the service, but you're the one to be having to handle all those nitwits. But that can and will happen, guys. Those are the things. That's just the minimum, a tip of the iceberg of all the unfortunate circumstances that can happen throughout shooting a day. Things can and will happen.
Show notes, that link that you sent me about all the different things that have happened to the photographers for
the Photo Society. I should put that in the show notes. Yes.
Yeah, we should definitely include that. I've had the unfortunate experience of having many of those happen to me in my career. Some of them I'm glad I haven't been attacked by like a tiger, stampeded by an elephant, or anything like that, but things like that can happen, and as a professional, you should really be dialed in, knowing that that can happen, and you have to be prepared for it. It totally can happen. And we're not trying to be like all this gloom and doom, and life is gonna suck, and oh my gosh, it's not like that. But it is a reality. It can happen. It really can happen, and expect it. But be prepared for it, so when it does happen, and of all things, whether it's your first wedding or it's your 1,000th, your 1,000th, 1,000,000th wedding.
Take your time. Take your time.
It's been a long week, man. I just like had a freaking lunch and learn today about customer retention and everything else. I'm just like going through all these massive business classes, so my brain's kind of like another part of what we should be
putting so much time and effort. See, this is what I'm talking about, guys. You just have to. You're never when you're going to stagnate, because you will plateau, because the craft is evolving. The industry will never stop. The technology is always going to be one step ahead of you. So you do have to take the measures to always stay relevant. And David, as of all people, is actually doing that right now, always being the example, and actually taking the classes, taking time out of himself. And again, I'm not just blowing smoke, David, because it is admirable, because you're taking the time to actually learn your craft, because we understand that the information is available. I'm not just talking random YouTube videos, but yes, there are websites, there are resources, and there are ways to actually learn and improve your craft, and it's just right at your fingertips. You just have to be willing to put in the time. Just a side note, just saying.
And what's really awesome is that you don't have to be an amazing photographer to have a successful business. There are a lot of photographers out there that they're pretty good. They're pretty good. And they do very well in business. And because they do very well in business, they're able to attract a client that is happy with the product that they do and they deliver. And because they have their business chops down and they have their contract down, they're able to be very successful. So keep that in mind. You don't have to be Joe Busick and Jerry Gionis and these other crazy wild people that host video podcasts and audio podcasts from Canada and the United States and all these other wild and wacky people. You don't have to be like that. You just need to be yourself and be true to yourself at the end of the day and do the best you can. And there's more information I'm looking at that we're going to be covering, but then I have like a little surprise that I haven't even brought up yet for you guys. I'll save until the end of the program.
Itching.
Let's just put it this way: the little surprise is worth $12,000 over the course of about 20 years.
Wow! So, insane. That's a lot of zeros.
It's a nice little treat. It's a little giveaway, and I'm very confident in this particular giveaway because one client that I had several years ago was a company called AEG Worldwide, the Anschultz Corporation, and I was hired to photograph their holiday party. And yeah, AEG Worldwide, they own like Staples Center here in Los Angeles, football organizations in Europe. I mean, they're pretty well known. And their legal department reviewed my contract, and within 20 minutes, they sent me an email back saying, "Great, love it, awesome.
Sure.
Perfect." There were a couple of like little grammatic typos that had to be straightened out, like a semicolon and little things.
That's all they had on you.
But yeah, that was it. So for a multi-billion-dollar corporation to review, little old me, my contract, and to approve it within less than an hour, it was like 20
rock solid.
25 minutes. Yeah.
I'm talking about an entire legal team.
It can happen to you guys. You never know. You might bump into somebody on a subway or in an elevator at the grocery store, and they're
have a contract.
The CEO of a major corporation. They happen to be a very predominantly well-known actor or actress, and they love your style, or they love the way you handled yourself. It can happen. Be prepared for anything, and when you're prepared for anything with your contract, it shows how much of a dedication you have to your craft, to your business, and to your client, your end user.
I love that moment of suspended when you go through that initial meeting and you're like, okay, I've got all the details down. I'll send you a revised copy of the contract a little bit later. You're like,
yeah,
contract? Well, of course, we talked about something. It's an understanding, but just make sure that we didn't get anything confused. I'll write down the contract. You can approve it, or it's just going to be a draft. But as far as all the details are handled, we'll just talk about it, and I'll just send you a copy of the contract. Okay, and they're like, okay, so he's serious. I better. Okay, he's got something. Because again, a lot of people would just deal with word of mouth, but no, whether it's just taking 30 minutes to do a headshot for a friend, or just covering a wedding, or just covering an event, doing a concert. Every single time I've had, even if it's just one short email, it's like, okay, reply to this if you approve. That's my written consent. That's why we put it in the show notes. Everything we spoke about, everything has to be in writing, guys. No matter what happens. Well, David, what we initially said, the initial DVD, could we just like scrap the DVD but do this instead, or just like so and so prints? How long is it? Every single thing. Like, okay, I understand what you're saying. I'll send you a revised copy of the contract, just so you know. So there was no confusion, because you will forget, because God knows you're handling so many other things throughout a day. So throughout the months periods of your planning coming up to the D-Day, don't take chances, guys. Have a plan B, have a plan C, have your contract rock solid. Have it revised. Call up David Esquire. It's like, David, I know you're busy, but if I send you a copy of my contract, is it solid? What would you do? And then he'll skewer it for you and tell you that this is what you need to
take a look. Yeah.
We're here to help.
We are. We're here to give you what our I don't want to say expertise, but we're here to share what works and what doesn't work for us, and it may not work, or it may work for you. We don't know, but we're sharing what does and doesn't work. I do want to drill home with you guys that it's like the things that we share that does work are typically pretty consistent in the industry, and when it comes to contracts, that's something that should be exercised 99.999999 infinity, period, without a doubt, without mistake, without hiccup, and without disregard for anything. And here's the one collection of people that you should always have a contract with: your family. Because, like they say, it's like You know, if family is to visit you, family is like seafood. It's good for about 72 hours and then it goes bad. If you're doing a professional transaction, you really have to have that dialed in.
Me too.
Case in point, I photographed my sister's wedding several years ago, and there was a contract. I'm not about to be like, oh, sure, I'll be there, and take a very laissez-faire, unprofessional approach to it.
No.
I'm going to respect me, I'm going to respect my business, and more importantly, I'm going to respect my sister and her wedding. And I delivered that particular contract to her, and we went over all the terms and conditions and everything that's involved.
You owe her
and
that
it's
much.
a family that'll pretty much, it's family. Family.
When a friend is going to call
friends are next.
Family is your bond. Blood is thicker than water. But at the same time, because they're family, that's even more reason why you should treat them professionally and with etiquette and when you white glove, because they are your family and they deserve that much respect. And that respect goes through you taking them seriously and taking them, by the hands. Like, okay, this is what's going to happen. This is why. Because you're my family. Because I care about you. I don't want you to think that I'm taking this like with neglect. I want you to think I'm taking this with a lot of consideration, and this is why we're going to handle it this way. Because I would hate to disappoint you, and I would hate for you to have the wrong expectations. And that's why, the education part, you're always at the helm of what your client needs to understand in terms of that relationship. Because clients have one perspective and you have another. You both have to speak the same language, because come the day, that's not when you want to hash out details. It's like, well, I thought you were going to do this, or well, I thought you were going to do that. No, it's not the time. You have to speak the same language, and your client relies on you for that.
They totally do. They totally do. And just kind of, I'm noticing the time, and I don't want to like totally bore everybody to tears. This dry white.
Going and on about contracts because there's so much to say, but we're trying to keep it very lighthearted for everybody.
Here we go. This bullet. Make sure you have copies. And you have copies of every current version. Date it. Make sure that everybody signs off on everything. If there is an adjustment on the copy and you're like, well, we're going to change this up a little bit right here. Okay, great. If that's what you both agree upon, great, high five. But then you both take that and you do whatever addition or change or detraction from it, and you initial it. You both initial it, and you both date it on the contract. It needs to be done like that, because if you don't, well, you're setting yourself up for bigger problems later. So you have copies and you've signed off and you've initialed. Let's see, what else do we have on here? Be understanding but firm. I'll give you the stink eye if you're not. I think that this one really addresses it that we have here on our show notes, and it's make sure that the client understands. You need to talk in a language that the client is able to understand, and that you understand. You're both, you're coming to a meeting of the minds there. Also, I want to share with you the same thing that Joe Busing shared, and he basically put it out there. He said, I'm not a lawyer. I hire people to do this for me. When you're handing the contract over to somebody, if they have questions about it, say, that's a great question. You should probably talk to somebody that can understand that a little bit better, as in the legal terms and in that particular arena that they work in. Obviously. Do not, by all means, do not take it upon yourself to explain the legal jargon, because all it takes is one word to screw it up, and next thing you know, you're in litigation. Next thing you know, you have a lawsuit. And again, we're not pointing out like everything's an atomic bomb on you, but it is a reality, and it can happen. It can. And it's just like riding a motorcycle. Two types of riders, and I'm one of them. Well, I'm both of them, actually. There's the people that haven't gone down, and then there's the people that are going to go down.
Obviously.
I'm both. I've been down a couple times, and it hurts, and you don't want to be on that ouch side of your contract. Address it early and early on. Seriously.
True story. Just a really quick anecdote just to help people understand what happens, where even as seasoned photographer, you're just like, if you neglect that part of understanding, long story short, had a friend, DJ, club. Yeah. He was in town. He's like, okay, I'm going to be in town. Love to see you. It's going to be a great party. If you could just show up with your camera, come and take photos. I know you haven't shot in a long time. Just say you're with me, the initial, I'm with the DJ type of thing. It's like, I'm very ethical. It's not because I know the talent that I'm just not going to pay, or just just going to be like, oh, I'm with the DJ. No, I showed up. I showed up at the door. I paid my cover charge. I gave away my coat and everything. Took a beer and everything, but I still had my gear. And again, I showed up with my gear on my neck, not a problem. It's like, okay, sure, just walking in and like, okay, the party picked up. It's like, hey, dude, what's going on? Like, it's okay. So the party started picking up, and okay, so I'm gonna cover the event. But here I am taking a few photos here and there, here and there, here and there, and I get a tap on my shoulder, and I have this 8-foot. I have an 8-foot silverback just looking at me. It's like, okay. And he's signaling me, you know the forefinger. He's like, come on. It's like, come here a second. And he escorts me all the way to the front door.
Yeah.
And he's like, you can't take photos. And that's when it hit me that I made the initial rookie mistake. Check with the venue. And I did not have a written consent. I did not have a written consent. And I admit it, guys. Even as a pro, you will still make that mistake because, again, the talent does not own the venue. The talent is just the talent. The relationship the talent has with the venue and the photographer has with the venue are two different things. So if I had
one over here, one over here, about
there
that
you
far
go. There are two different worlds. He's the performer. You are the journalist. You're capturing the event. So these are two different worlds, and that was a very sobering experience, David. So I could have just gone, well, like what says? Because again, it's not written anywhere that I can't shoot. So I could have gone all gung ho, like, well, dude, I paid my cover charge, I'm consuming, I'm a patron, like I can do whatever I want.
Right.
But I'm not gonna ruin it for my wife because it's the first time we went on in a long time. I'm not gonna be that guy, that just causes a scene and gets thrown out on the street. And I'm not gonna be the guy again because this is a friend. I'm not gonna be. Do you know the photographer? Is that a-hole with you? I don't want to ruin my friend, the talent's relationship with the venue. So all these things came to my head in like a nanosecond, and you know what? I backed up. I'm like, I'm very sorry. I wasn't aware. I'm a simple photographer. I just wanted to capture the event. I do this from time to time, but I was not aware that it was proviso against the event, and I really apologize. It's like, well, I'm going to ask you to store your gear at the coat check. Well, it's a very expensive gear. If you don't mind, I'll just put it back in my backpack. I'll just keep it with me, but you won't see me. I won't cause any trouble. And again, that's what we were talking about last time. Be respectful, be amiable, and he didn't give me any crap after that. But it was a very sobering experience. But guys, if I had a contract, if I could just so I'm like, dude, see, I am authorized to be here, and from time to time, this is what I'm doing. It would have been not a problem. But he was totally in his right to do his job, and I would never. And it's a sobering experience. This stuff will happen to you, even me. See, these things will happen. But contracts.
Definitely. Most definitely. And if you try to present a contract after the fact, nope. Game over at that point.
Nope.
Seriously, then anybody can claim anything at that point, and that's when it's a bigger problem. That contract should be executed. It should be complete before you press your shutter button. 100% every time. Even if you have to show up at the shoot and you have contract in hand and you're like, here you go, here's the contract, blah, 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 this is what we all talked about. Great. Sign off on it. Happy trails. And then have a great photo shoot. But
have a great photo shoot.
Do it after, again, you're asking for problems. And these are experiences, again, we know what works and what doesn't work for us, but there are quite a few things that are pretty consistent in the industry, regardless of the country, regardless of the arena that you're working in. It doesn't really matter. It's all the same stuff. There are just basic rules to running your business. There really, truly are. And the more that you can set yourself up as a professional, then the fewer times you'll run into the notorious thing that you hear from friends and family, especially if you're just getting started. And I'm pretty confident everybody has experienced this one particular thing. You find out from your mom or your dad or your sister, excuse me, or your brother or a best friend that they just did a photo shoot, and you're like, but I'm a photographer. And then you hear the notorious sentence of, well, we wanted a professional. The more that you can conduct yourself as a professional photographer, which typically is being professional about your business as a photographer, the more people will recognize you.
How you handle clients.
Mm-hmm.
If you're just that guy with a camera, quote unquote, it's a term.
That's what I call
myself. That guy with a camera. it's a concern because if you can't convince your family and friends to treat you seriously and professionally, why would they recommend you? Why would they give away your card? Why would they say, well, Ollie's a photographer, let me give him a call? Or, you want to deal with my brother-in-law, he's really good. Like, well, there's a guy I know a guy. Like,
Yeah.
hold on for a second, but I know a guy.
I know a guy line.
I know a guy. But if you can't convince your closest relatives that you are indeed worth the time and concern of their circles, how can you convince a perfect stranger? How can you convince a venue? How can you convince this company that wants to hire you to do their corporate shots? How are you going to do that? Your name and your reputation speaks through your work, and as David said, the most successful photographers, guys, everybody watching and listening, please dial this down. The most successful photographers aren't really that technically savvy. They're good because again, they
got their chops.
They got their chops. But at the same time, everyone will tell you success in photography, first and foremost, is about if you're going to make a living off it. Obviously, if you're going to make some money, or just like if you want to enjoy it,
exactly.
make some money off it. It starts with knowing about running a business. So you have to learn about the legalese. You have to learn about client relationships. You have to learn about, filling out. You have to learn it, people. There is such a thing as running a business. It's not just you in your basement just taking photos of your baby and just like, you could even be doing shots of your baby professionally. You have to do it. You have to do it and put in the time. You have to do it and put in the time. Otherwise, you're just
business.
Otherwise, it's just a hobby.
Right.
It's just.
I don't think it's called show hobby. It's called show business.
It is a business. It is a business.
Show. It really is. It really, really is, you guys. And as I had lightly touched on earlier, when I couldn't pronounce thousand, it's like that. My brain's pretty much mushed at this point today because of just a massive lunch and learn that I had done today about software and customer retention and everything else that I'm working on. I've been in the business almost 31 years. You cannot stop learning. You can't. And I have been on a massive push taking a lot of classes right now because I'm setting my business up to do another 31 years. And in order to do that, I have to have my chops down. And I have to be consistent with what's going on today. And part of that is education. And if you're listening to us and you're watching us, then you care enough about your education for your business and for your craft. And that's admirable. It really is. Pat yourself on the back. You deserve it. Treat yourself to some nachos and Newcastles because of it. You deserve it. You're committing yourself to learning how to better yourself as a professional and as a photographer. And that's not easy to do. And if you're juggling it with like a family and you're juggling it with maybe another career, a day job, you're working at Starbucks, you're inventing a new atomic bomb, who knows what you're doing. But it's tough to make that extra commitment. And if you're watching and you're listening right now, congratulations. It's really an honor to be able to share these things with you and pat yourself on the back. You deserve it.
There's already so many hours in one day that somebody has to commit yourself to a passion. There's 24, and you have to maximize those as well as you can. And you've touched on so many obligations. You've come to so many day-to-day concerns that everybody has, and everybody who's watching and listening knows exactly what we're talking about. Life is not easy, and life is not going to get any easier, but anything worth having is worth fighting for. You're reinventing yourself, and you're taking the time to educate yourself and putting the concern into your education and bettering yourself because you're aware at some point that, I can be better at this, and I love this enough to put in the time and, effort to actually be better, because it's not just about owning the gear, it's about the work that goes with it. And you have to put in the work. It's not just, again, a lot of people tell you, yes, read the manual, but you have to shoot. You have to understand lighting, RTFM. But it's a start because you have no idea how many people just unpack the camera and just go out shooting. Is that really learning? But we're talking about, and we're not just talking about photography. Anything that you care about is worth the time and effort towards getting better knowledge, because anything that you do has evolved. Because somebody did it for you, somebody made mistakes, somebody fell flat on their face, and somebody looked at the process, did it better, and went forward with it. It's up to you to pick up wherever that stage of your life is and actually build on that to move forward. It's called progress, guys, and you need to allow yourself the time and effort to actually put in that investment within yourself, because you are worth it. Your photography is worth it, and it will thank you for it. And so are your clients.
But you keep in mind, though, you guys, that seriously, you are only as good as you think you are. People will pick up on where you value yourself and where you value your product, your client, your service, everything. So if you think, oh, you know, it's okay, then that's what everybody else is going to think, because that's what you're putting out there. That's your message. And you're the only one that's in control of that. At the end of the day, nobody else has any say-so about how you run your business. And, you know, we covered quite a bit of information here today. And we're coming up on the end of the hour, and I don't want to blow through everything too much, but I do want to share a little something with you.
He's sharing. Every time you share something, it's always, again, a mind-blowing revelation. So let me brace myself for a second.
Well, you're going to have to work for this one. It's a little treat. It's a little snacky treat, but you guys are going to have to work for it. And
any hints?
I will have to say, yeah, I'm going to have to do this. Yeah, I know what I'm going to do. Okay. The first person that can email me, not Facebook message me, not Google mail me or anything like that, but email me, my Esquire Photography email.
David at esquirephotography.com.
Yes, David. Or like a piece of mail that I got one time, David Esquire. I still have that piece of mail, and I took a picture of it. It's hilarious. It's on my Facebook wall if you look for it.
Oh,
it says David Esquire. It's hilarious. But that's not really my email address. It's David at esquirephotography.com. Okay? So now you know the email address. You need to, the first person that gets an email through to me between now and, let's say, the end of the weekend. No, when are we going to post this? When are we going to post this?
Most likely, if we're Friday night, it should probably be up tomorrow evening around the same time.
Oh, okay. So then between when you see this video and Sunday night / Monday morning at midnight.
At midnight.
Mm-hmm, you email me the day, the month, and the year that I started shooting, I will send you a PDF copy of my contract for free. And it's 4 pages long. It's cost me roughly about $12,000 over almost 20 years of attorney fees, the PPA, everybody taking a look at it and making sure that it's dialed in. I'll save you about $12,000.
Wow.
I'll even include the clause that Joe Busink has that he uses for artistic interpretation, and he used it on Steven Spielberg. And I'm sorry, Steven Spielberg gave it to Joe Busink, and Joe Busink now has shared it with several of us as well, and I'll include that as well. So the first person that emails me, and I'll be checking my email, and I'll share the timestamps and everything to make sure it's legit, but the first person that emails me the month, the day, and the year that I started shooting, I'll be more than happy to give you a copy of my contract for free. Dun, dun, dun! So we need to cue the dramatic kitty voice. We need to cue the, in a world where you can be a photographer. Copy of David Esquire's contract.
So you heard it first. You heard it first. It is so insane and so generous of you, David. So you guys, you really heard it first. So really, as we're clarifying, because we did put this in the show notes, make sure the client understands. So the date, the time, and the year that David started shooting.
Yeah. Month, day, and year.
Between month, day, and year. If you can actually email David between now, right now it's Friday night. So this video, the broadcast, hopefully should be up by next 24 hours. So Saturday evening. So David is actually giving you.
That'll be like an Easter gift.
Like Easter gift. So by Easter
Friday,
Sunday,
I'm giving you some good information.
So by Easter Sunday, from Sunday to Monday, midnight. Okay, let's just make it Pacific time since it's David giving you a wish. So make it midnight Pacific time.
The West Coast.
Midnight Pacific time, so 3 a.m. Eastern on Monday. If David gets that email, you will get a PDF copy of David's actual contract.
Yep.
For free.
Yep.
And you'll throw in, oh man, it's crazy. It is crazy.
Yeah, that Joe Busink clause will blow your mind.
The Joe Busink clause, it is insane. So David, again, thank you, because it is very generous of you, because it is a great Easter egg. A great Easter egg. So we'll make sure that that the people are aware. And again, counter starts now. And we'll be waiting to see. Like, good luck, guys.
There are people that are on live, so you guys if you're
Guys,
watching and
if you're
listening,
watching, make it happen.
you've got the added advantage.
You've got the added advantage.
Before the
You're watching live.
broadcast.
You're watching live. So the broadcast and the audio will be up within the next 24 hours. But again, you've got a 24-hour head start. So make it worth it, you guys. It's definitely worth it, because where else are you going to get such a freebie from a professional photographer? And because it's David, you know it's rock solid. You know it's rock solid, and you know it's actually worth having. If you want to promote your craft a little bit further, and you don't want to spend the money on attorney fees, because again, lawyers need to make money too. So if you need to make sure your contract is rock solid, might as well make the time and actually learn from somebody who's actually done it. Because 30-year career, chances are he knows what he's doing.
I like to think so. I mean, I felt, like I said, I shared a little bit about the AEG Corporation and their legal department approving my contract within 20 minutes of sending it over to them. The PPA has approved my contract, and that's from their legal department. And then I had my attorney that I worked with over the course of roughly 2 decades working on my contract and making sure that it protects both parties. It's not a protect me only and screw everybody else. It's nothing like that. Both parties, you and your client, are well protected. It's got all the right terminology in it. And it's awesome. And you could take it, extrapolate what you want on it, and use it. You could just change the name on it and put your name on there. That's totally fine. It's yours for the doing. So
Insane.
I can't wait to tweet that when we get done recording this. I'm gonna be like, hey guys, if you weren't watching,
just in case, if you believe in Easter eggs, if you don't believe in the Easter Bunny, check it out, because he's got a monster egg coming your way. Might as well make
$12,000 ones.
You're going to have to watch this broadcast to make it worth it. It's crazy. It's crazy.
We're getting crazy.
Hey, where's Duran Rex? I haven't seen Duran Rex today. How come there's no photo?
Oh, crud. Oh, you can't see my shirt. Yeah, he made me wear this shirt. He's on a diet right now, so he made me wear this T-shirt. And, yeah, it's scary. Look.
Oh man. Wow, actually coming up to the top of the hour. I can't believe we actually scrunched all of that in.
Yeah, I went over the notes. I'm looking at the notes on my monitor. Dude, we covered it all.
Did we miss anything? I don't think so. I think we covered everything.
Where can everybody find you on the internet?
On the internet, in the blogosphere and the wegosphere, it is quite simple, because my wife was kind enough to actually buy me a domain name. So it's actually my name, OLIVIERDAY, olivierday.ca. Or you can just find me on Twitter at Olivier D. That's basically what I find. That's the basic place, because I'm very active on Twitter. I'm very active on my website. So if you go on my website, that's the hub. I've managed to, over the years, actually centralize all my platforms via the website. So if you go on the website, you'll find the links to the blog, you'll find the links to the podcast, you'll find the links to my Google+, my Facebook, everything. But the initial place, olivierday.ca or at Olivier D. Well, that's basically on Twitter. It's a lot easier to pronounce. But that's where I am, basically. And, of course, if you need to find David Esquire, the caffeinated photographer, 30-year photography veteran, and awesome Google Glass Explorer, and, my God, such an awesome guy.
No, only on Thursdays.
Always so grateful for your awesome insight, David, because it's always so valuable. And, man, a free PDF of his contract. I still mind blown. And, of course, I can't participate because it would be, like, unethical. So I'm actually stepping aside. I am that ethical, man. Oh, dear. But it would be so much fun. But, David, again, thank you so much, because it's always so much fun to actually meet with you and you actually sit down and share on all these wonderful subjects of photography and creativity, and just helping people just do a little bit better every day, because that's what we're trying to do every single day. And I remember that from Anne of Green Gables. I believe she was one of her teachers as she was graduating told her that tomorrow.
Shut the front door. Are you serious?
Actually, yeah.
Man.
What was the word? I'm probably paraphrasing, but I remember the words were, "Tomorrow is always fresh."
Dude, well said. It's true.
Tomorrow is always fresh. So there's always an opportunity to do better, guys. So in your photography, in your craft, in your being, for your family, in your job, any which way, always remember that tomorrow is always fresh. I'll just leave it at that. And hey, David, I'm not sure if you want to add anything for today's broadcast.
Yeah. Actually, in roughly 7 more sleeps, I'll be leaving for Germany again.
He's traveling.
Dun, dun, dun. I'll be heading back out to Berlin, and my amazing couple, Christine and Christoph. If you've seen their wedding
Yes.
on the website and on the internet everywhere, where I was there for a week capturing their entire wedding experience, they're actually having a baby any day. So, yeah, I'm really excited, really excited. And
Blessings.
on top of that,
it's so wonderful.
Yeah, they're going to be great parents. I mean, they're just phenomenal individuals, and they're a phenomenal couple. So they're having a baby. So they've invited me out to photograph the new baby portraits and the new family portraits, and then on top of that, and this is all on the because quite a few people follow in their family. Quite a few people follow me on Facebook, but this is all But I'm going out there, and then Christine's mom and dad are celebrating their 25th wedding anniversary, and so I'm going to be photographing that.
Shut up!
I know, isn't that awesome? It's like
that is awesome, a double header.
25th wedding anniversary. I'm going out there for a couple of weeks. I'm going to be capturing all those moments and memories. I'm really excited about it, and
wow,
it's going to be a blast. But please, because quite a few of her family and friends follow me on Facebook.
Just try to keep it on the download. After all, this is the internet. But we'll do our best.
Yes, definitely, because her mom and dad don't know that I'm coming out, and it's a big surprise. They're super cool. I love her parents to death. And
I'm not even there, and I'm stoked. Oh, that is so insane. What an
I wish I had like a camera crew following me for that, because I know like her mom and dad are going to be like,
that is insane. That is insane. If again, we'll try to keep following me on the blogosphere, on Twitter, on Facebook, but you know, if ever we should meet up next. Is there so?
There's more.
There's more. You're just not stopping.
But we should try and do like a Canada meets Germany like special edition podcast while I'm out there.
I say, Esquire.
I should do something like that.
Axel.
You know what I'd really like to talk about?
Might as well.
I really would love for us to address ethics. And what I mean by that,
it's kind of broad.
It's like Gandalf said. Was it Gandalf? Yeah, Gandalf said this in the original Lord of the Rings, where I'm paraphrasing, of course, but he said, you know, sometimes you have to take the path that is harder, because that's the path that is right. Something to that extent. It was at the end of the very first Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, you're right.
It was when he was talking to Mr. Frodo.
I was talking to Frodo at the end, but you have to take the... Yes. Okay, I see what you're talking about.
I would really like to talk about it, and it's not going to be a bashing session. It's going to be what to do to help you stand out among all this that's going on out there right now. Like if you're listening and watching this program, clearly you care.
Definitely.
And I really would like to address some things on how you can stand your ground, not just with a contract, but to stand your ground with your client. And situations that you'll run into will be copyrighted music, things like that. Why don't we address something like that? Because there's a lot of that going on. There's a lot of buzz right now on the internet about that.
Sure, because you've got, because I was reading this on Petapixel, I believe, in the beginning of the week about the photographer. Well, I'm sure everybody's read it about anybody who follows the photo news about the photographer who actually took the photo for the Windows XP background.
Yeah.
And how he basically got suckered out of a lot of royalties. Because they keep telling you, like, if he were paid 1 cent per every single copy of Windows XP that has been sold since its inception, chances are he'd be quite comfortable, let's say.
Something like 500 million or something like that?
Yeah, a pretty heavy number. And we're just talking 1 cent. But let's just say that the contracts and the legalese that were happening between him and Microsoft wasn't all that satisfactory. And unfortunately, right now, he's getting the short end of the stick for it. But you know, if you guys could just close your mind and just thinking about how many people do not change their default Windows XP background and are still using it now, even though it's going to die soon. But it's crazy how many people are using that background, and that's just one guy. That's just one photo, and you have no idea in terms of ethics. If Microsoft had been transparent at the time, or if they knew that, again, you can't know how much a software is going to blow up, but over time, if you're looking out for both your client and yourself,
when it's somebody like Microsoft,
definitely. If there was a great understanding of respect and mutual ethics that had happened, we wouldn't be talking about this right now.
So let's address that. Let's try and do a special edition.
Definitely should.
From on the road.
Canada meets Germany. My. I'm excited just thinking about it. This is
And
going
if
to be
anybody has any
epic.
ideas, like maybe some of our viewers and some of our listeners will have some
Yeah, we
topics
should
that
do
they're
that.
struggling with.
We should do that. Just start, firing off the emails or on Twitter or on
Send us a
Facebook
tweet.
or on the Q&A. On the Q&A, just tweet.
Google
Like
Plus.
you guys, Google Plus as well. We're very active there as well. If anybody has
Wow.
any type of topics or subject that you'd like us to extend on, might as well. As you guys know, we're trying not to keep this on the side, like not put this on the gear side. So please, no Canon versus Nikon. What should I buy? Medium format versus this type of questions. We're trying to steer away from that because you've got your fair share of shows that already talk about that. So let's try to be a little bit more broad into our photography discussions. Come on, guys. I know you can do it. I trust you guys. But, it's always a pleasure. David, Esquire, guys, is still at esquirephotography.com. He is at Esquire Photo on Twitter or plus David Esquire on Google Plus. Awesome. Google Glass Explorer. But, man.
Hey, just came through on Glass. Canadian's top lighting again for 2.0. I'm not sure what that is.
What?
It says, Canadian's top lightning again for 2.0 series lead.
Seriously?
Yeah,
Okay.
it just came up just now. It's on AP Top Stories.
Yeah, it's the second. It's game 2 of the Montreal Canadiens versus the Tampa Bay. Yeah, Tampa Bay Lightning.
Dude,
So it's the hockey game. So it's insane. So you actually got that right now.
Just now, it just popped up. Yeah.
Epic.
Google Glass.
They're a really good team. They're actually the only. Would you believe they're the only Canadian team in this year's playoff series?
No way.
Only, of the Big Six, they're the only Canadian team. All the other teams are from the U.S. in the NHL, but this year they get a lot of bashing. But again, because Montreal Canadiens fans are like the most die-hard fans you've ever seen. Like there was one time where they were going against Boston, and it was like maybe game 3 or 4, and they won, and they set the city on fire. There was rioting, police cars being flipped over, concession stand were it was crazy. And just because they won game, it was insane.
Well, man, watch the news tonight.
David, it is such always a pleasure and an honor to always sit down and have these exchanges with you. But we'll definitely go sit down off air to actually schedule the next event. I think it's a great idea. We'll actually launch into that again, like live from Berlin. Might as well. Of course, I believe Europe time Berlin is actually 6 hours ahead of Eastern time, so we'll definitely try to square it out. See how we're going to do that, but we'll do that off air. But we can only thank everybody who actually tuned in for the live webcast and everybody who's going to pick this up on audio. Thank you so much for listening. And again, we welcome your comments. We welcome, again, I don't believe myself saying this, but I hear all the other big dudes are saying it. Please star us or leave a comment on iTunes. It's always good for our ratings. So again, I'm just doing shameless plug, but still. It's a labor of love for us to bring you all this knowledge and that experience. And I agree, David, it's not expertise, but just experience for your growth. So it's always a pleasure. But just that one little positive note on iTunes or share it on Twitter, promote it on Google Plus. It's always good because it gives us some traction and it's always fun to do this for you guys. So leave the comments, and we're always happy to hear you. And always
subscribe.
Subscribe! Please subscribe, that button, little red button. Please subscribe. It's always fun. And go on the YouTube channel. We're everywhere. We're just trying to bring you as much as we can. David Esquire, always a pleasure, from Newport Beach, California. Please sign us off.
Dude, and as we like to say in those selfie videos that I do where I'm all like, hello, good evening, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody.
From EPHQ.
Coming to you live from Southern California. We just wrapped up our video, and we will see you soon.
Ciao, guys.